My name is Erna Solberg. I am the Norwegian Prime Minister.
When you think of Norway, you think of its 5.4 million people and how its low crime rate, universal health coverage, and comprehensive social security system makes this one of the most inclusive societies today. Relatively poor before the discovery of oil and gas, it now has the fourth highest per capita income according to the IMF and World Bank. But how will it negotiate a new landscape where COVID-19 exists? I'm James Chau, host of the China Current. This special interview with Prime Minister Solberg is in partnership with She, the community, conference and movement to encourage equality in business, drive growth and create real change in society.
When we get the vaccines, that is not just given for people who have states and governments who are able to pay for it, but also is distributed more fairly.
You described that as one of the challenging multilateral issues ahead for fairness and equity in terms of a vaccine that's offered. I mean, some countries have said that they will offer it as a global public good. Are you confident, though, that we will overcome that hill, that we will achieve that equity together?
I hope. I think that's one of the reasons why we have been supportive both of SEPA, this coalition for preparedness against pandemics and epidemics when it comes to vaccines, and Gavi, because those are the two biggest international bodies we now have together with the World Health Organization to make sure that we are producing a vaccine. We are researching it, but also producing it in a different countries, and make sure that it is a universal and that it is a common good for the whole world.
Prime Minister, you, through this work over the last few months and all the preparation that came ahead of this pandemic, have helped save millions of lives, families, and also communities. When we look ahead, though, there are going to be other challenges, especially with Norway as one of the world's top petroleum exporting countries. And at a time when COVID-19 is causing oil markets to collapse, would it be too much to say then that this could present you with the biggest challenge that you face as a leader?
Absolutely. We did have a very low oil price, which was a shock to our economy in 2014-15. We had a crisis around at that time too, but this is deeper. It's both a health crisis and it's an economic crisis. And Norway is, of course, like all other countries, hit on the economic side by our own measures, but to combat the pandemic, but also the international effects of the pandemic. Norway is a small country with a very open economy, meaning that we are extremely dependent on other countries' economic development for our own businesses. And then, of course, we have a very low oil price, mainly now due to the COVID-19 and very low activities. I mean, there are hardly any planes going these days. The whole infrastructure's need for energy is very low. But also because we had this oil price war in the start of this point, where US, Saudi Arabia and Russia was in a bit of a conflict on how to settle production rates. So we feel that we have a double hit economically. We have a sound economic basis. We have, of course, the sovereign fund that we have been saving money in, investing internationally, so that compared to other countries who very often have to contract their public budgets in times of crisis, we have a possibility to expand. That means that we can we can work against the effects in our internal economy on cutbacks in budgets, because we do have enough money to that. But it is insecurity, it's job. We have unemployment rates around 10%, which we haven't had since the 30s. The Great Depression is what we can compare ourselves to when it comes to unemployment rate. The difference is, of course, that we have income guarantee systems. That means that people are not suffering the way they did in the 30s, that they are still getting money paid by the state in compensations for being out of work permanently or temporarily. We do have some better ways of dealing with it, but it's going to take time to come back. And that's also the same for the world economy. And for all of those millions of people who are living and working in the tourist industry, I think they are among those who is going to be most hit the next years. And we know a lot of countries, that is jobs where the pay is low. It's a lot of people there working there that is, of course, hit the most all over the world.
You're Prime Minister of Norway, of around 5 million people, and you are a person to whom millions more around the world look up to and aspire to. What is your message to the world at a time when we are confused and deeply, deeply fragile?
First of all, I'm a basically optimistic person. I think we will both learn from the experience and we will move forward after this. But we do really need to focus on one thing. The pandemic is an international catastrophe. It needs more international cooperation. We need more multilateralism, not less multilateralism. We will not cope with these issues in the future if we don't, in fact, work more together. And if people think that this is a thing where we can close our borders and say we need to cooperate less, then we will lose out on welfare, on knowledge, and the technology that we are in is moving so fast that we need to work even harder together in the future. And I think what really COVID-19 should show us is that we need more international cooperation. We need to have more international policies, not just international economy and technology, but we also need international policies to work on this. Because I believe, as a firm believer in human rights and democracy, I believe that it should not be technology, not capital, not that runs the world. It should in fact be politicians that are multilateral cooperating to solve common issues in the future. That would be my main message to everybody. I think it's we will all just lose out on jobs, welfare, and a better living if we are believing that politics can turn inwards and not support a multilateral approach to these issues.
Prime Minister Erna Solberg, it is an honor speaking with you, and we thank you.
Thank you.
You can listen to the full conversation with Erna Solberg at ChinaCurrent.com or your preferred podcast platform. This interview is a special partnership with She, the community conference and movement to achieve global gender equality. Be a part of the transformation and join their call to action. You can sign up at sheinsight.com.